You're listening to Carrie Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm Carrie Lutz, your host. Well, consumer credit appears to be crashing. The rate of increase on credit card debt is slowing down, and looks like defaults are popping up. Cracks, fissures are starting to form, and it's going to spread to the broader economy. Our good friend Paul Oster is here with us now. Paul is CEO of Better Qualified. You've been on many times, Paul. So what is your take on what's happening with consumer credit?
So unfortunately, the real impact of the economy, inflation, stagflation, all of these, pressures are coming down on the consumer. And I think, or what we see for sure, is that they're not even able to tread water anymore. A couple of years ago, we were actually making some headway and moving forward. Then we got stuck and we started treading water. I think we know consumers are starting to drown right now. All of the indices, the early indicators, auto financing, 30-day lates on car loans, 30-day lates on mortgages, pre-foreclosures, foreclosures, they're all ticking up right now and at a pretty brisk pace. So it's not a good situation for consumers, for sure. And if inflation stays where it is, look, you get mixed signals from everybody. The Fed, the market, prices are coming down, all of this stuff. I haven't seen any prices coming down. And I don't think
these prices?
I don't think we're ever going to go back down. Gas has come down a little bit, which is a big one. But everything else, it just seems, that the, providers are just raising pricing. Every single thing I looked at from last year to this year, some of the price jumps are 100%. It's really crazy. But without changing our behaviors, without figuring out how we're going to weather the storm, consumers are going to find themselves in a tailspin, and it's very, very difficult to get out from under. The slope is very slippery when you talk about debt. It happens very quickly. So again, the message from me has been very clear. We have to change our behavior. We have to start doing things differently. If you continue to do the same thing that you did 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, you're going to find yourself, in a worse position.
It's like that old F. Scott Fitzgerald thing where one of the characters are asking, how did you go bankrupt? And he said, well, slowly at first and then quickly, right?
Yep, exactly. Now, fortunately, if consumers are focused, which that's what they should be focused on right now. If you have any credit card debt, you have to get out of credit card debt. Every time the Fed has raised the rates recently, it was only 25 basis points the last time, but it's still an increase. And that was the 7th or 8th time in a row. Every time he raises the rate, your credit card interest rate goes up. Most people don't understand credit cards are variable interest rate products. And it's directly tied to the Fed rate. So if you just keep paying the same amount of money that you've always been paying, it's going to take you that much longer and that much more money to pay down that credit card debt. So figure out a way, and yet you really have to dig deep here. Put some type of household budget in place. Again, we should be running our households like small businesses. If you have an average family of 3, 4, 5 people, there's hundreds of transactions every day, every week. And we have to figure out a way to start saving money. Unless you're going to get a second job, unless you're going to ask the kids, if they're old enough to start working, get a part-time job while they're in school, where is the money going to come from? And fortunately, consumers are often surprised that they do have more money than they thought. They're just spending it in places that, they really haven't thought about. I think the last time we were on, we talk about subscriptions. Everybody wants to put you on a monthly subscription. The marketing geniuses figured this out. The economic geniuses figured it out, putting people on subscriptions and prescriptions. But certainly these subscriptions, it adds up. So, $4.99 might not sound like a lot, but if you couple that with $14.99, $29.99, $19.99, and if you have a family of people, Netflix, Roblox, PS4, Xbox, all of these things start to add up very quickly. Spotify, we're paying for our music, we're paying for cable, we're paying. So I'm not saying you have to do it for the rest of your life, but what I am saying is until you get out of credit card debt, you shouldn't be spending money anywhere else. And certainly on our luxury items, believe it or not, all of those subscriptions, they're luxury services and convenience. Stay out of the convenience store. If you stop at the convenience store on your way to work, on your way home from work, don't do it for 6 months. You'd be amazed at how much money you're going to save. Cut back on dining out, takeout, and entertainment. Just cut back for 6 months.
Easy.
Put a disciplined plan together. Do it as a family. Make it a family project. Everybody has to chip in. So if they can get a part-time job as a child, do it. I'm not saying you got to do it forever, but until the family, because it is family debt, it's household debt. Until we are out of debt, we have to pull together. We have to tighten our belts. We have to circle the wagons. And when people do that, again, fortunately, they are as shocked at how quickly they start to get out of debt as how quickly they got into debt.
Yeah, it can happen really quickly, and you just have to discipline yourself, right? Imagine that, putting off instant gratification.
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Torq Resources is an exploration company establishing a portfolio of premier copper-gold early-stage projects in Chile. Torq's management and technical teams have a strong track record of raising capital, discovery, and monetization of exploration successes. The company's Margarita copper-gold project is located within the prolific coastal Cordillera Belt in Chile, which hosts some of the world's largest and most profitable copper mines. The Margarita project possesses excellent discovery potential for a major copper discovery due to the strength of the alteration system, large-scale magnetic targets, and the presence of copper oxide mineralization. Drilling is anticipated to begin in Q3 of this year. Torq trades in Canada under TORQ and on the OTC under TRBMF. To learn more, go to torqresources.com. That's torqresources.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
Well, the worst part about credit card debt is it also impacts your credit scores. Mm-hmm. So people don't understand, your income is not a factor into your credit score. What is a big factor, the second biggest factor right behind your payment history, it's called your utilization ratio. So all the credit bureaus know is how much credit you have available and how much credit you're using. And as soon as you go over 30% of your credit limits to your credit balances, once those balances cross that 30% threshold, your scores come down quickly. And, you go 30, 40, 50% utilization ratio, you could easily lose 50 points off your credit score. And then that is going to wind up costing you more money down the road. Like, your credit score is either going to cost or save you money for all of the things that we have to do. I always mention, the guy, Dave Ramsey. I like him. He's a smart guy. I don't know where he lives, that he can live absolutely debt and credit free. And sometimes people listen to that message and they put themselves in a bad position, because when you need credit, it's like the umbrella. Nobody is going to hand you their umbrella when it's raining. You need to establish that umbrella. You need to have the rainy day fund. You need to have access to credit for when you need it. So if you stop using credit altogether, you close all your credit cards, when you actually need credit, you might come up, it's not available. It comes up NA, not applicable. There is no credit for Paul Oster at this point because he stopped using credit. So it's a mixed message because credit gets us in trouble, but it also gives us tremendous power if and when we need it. It's just got to be managed, correctly, because if it's mismanaged, it causes problems.
Absolutely. You got to be, that with your head, not over it, as they say at the East.
Yeah, that is.
Right? In the good.
That's what they say. Exactly.
So, it's like any person out there just about can figure out how to get rid of 10% of their expenditures. Anyone can do that. It's really simple. I call this phenomena of subscriptions. It's the oversubscribed society because they get you for $1 and then it becomes an auto payment on your card and then you forget it, right?
Yep, exactly. And some of the subscriptions are literally, a couple of dollars a month. But when you couple that with everything else, if you took that couple of dollars and a couple of dollars from here, a couple of dollars from there, now all of a sudden you might have $10, $20, $50 a month that you could be applying. Every dollar, think about it this way, it's an investment, right? So most credit cards are 20%, 29%, 30%. Every dollar that you pay down the credit card debt is like getting a 30% return on that dollar. So you can do a lot of things with your money, right? You could put it in a savings account. But if you're in credit card debt, the only thing you should be doing is paying down your credit card debt. Every dollar you pay it down. The next month you don't pay 30% on that dollar that you took out off the balance. So I don't know who's getting a 30% return on their investments right now. Not even Warren Buffett is doing that. So take your money, apply it towards your credit card debt. And there are two schools of thought here. One is called the avalanche, where you pay off your highest credit card, the highest interest rate, right? So it's called debt stacking. So in the wintertime, I always use the avalanche and the snowball. So the avalanche is you start at the highest point and you have to pay the minimums on all the other cards, right. But any money you put towards one card. People often make a mistake. They have an extra $100 and they say, I got to pay down my credit cards. And they pay 25, 25, 25, 25. It feels good. It looks good. Mathematically speaking, the best way to do it, take the $100 and put the whole thing for an extra payment, additional payment towards one card until that card is paid off. The snowball approach is you start to gobble up the lowest balances, not the interest rates. The credit cards with the lowest balances you're trying to pay off. So you're done with that card. It makes you feel good. It gives you some motivation, and you don't have to make a payment towards that card. So both of them work. Just put a plan together. I do caution people right now about using balance transfers. They're very popular right now. Again, the credit card companies are very smart. The problem with balance transfers, 0% balance transfer is a tremendous tool to get out of debt. Only if you've figured it out, again, mathematically, you're going to be able to pay off the entire debt at the end of the new term. Because if you don't, oftentimes there's a balance transfer fee, could be 3 to 5%. And then you're going to get hit with all of the deferred interest anyway. Yeah. So now you're just paying more for that same debt that you would have if you would have just left it alone. So you only use a balance transfer if you are reasonably confident you're going to be able to pay it off at the end of the new term.
For sure. That's just common sense, because otherwise you haven't really saved anything. And they require these pretty expensive fees when you're doing the transfer of 3-4%. And obviously it's better to pay that up front than to pay 25 or 30%. But, you have to be mindful of the risks here. So, all right.
Yes, sir.
I think we learned a lot from you today, as we always do, Paul. Just tell us, where do we find you on the web? Best place to connect with you?
So the best place for a free credit consultation and credit analysis is just to simply go to betterqualified.com.
All right. And we've been talking for years now. I trust Paul. He's one of those people who I know is not going to steer you wrong. Appreciate your coming on, Paul, as always. Hey, if you've got a question for Paul, you can always shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. And don't forget, go to the site. You'll see the link to Paul's site there on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for your free newsletter. Paul, we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kerry. Thanks for having me back on.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.